excited to welcome Shari Aaron, who is EVP of Growth and Innovation at Radius Insights. Shari, thanks for joining us here to talk about customer strategy for Outthinkers.
Thank you, Jessica.
Why is consumer centricity so important for leaders today?
So, consumer centricity is really all about building stronger relationships with the customers that you serve, right? That's only going to drive repeat business. It's going to bring up positive word of mouth. It's going to improve brand reputation, lead to higher sales, and ultimately that's going to impact positive business performance, right? So, when we talk about putting the consumer in the center, what you're doing is you're prioritizing their needs and their wants, and you're really making them feel valued, and you're understanding what makes them feel valued so that they're likely to choose your company over competitors. We know today's times, they're really complex, right? You've got strong competition, you have so much technology. We are as much as we are business professionals, we are also customers, so we feel companies that really get us and know us and really understand what it takes to make us happy. And so even though it's more challenging for companies to do this today, because there's a lot of information that's out there. There's a lot of data, there's a lot of fragmented information. We need to pull all these things together for our clients and have a really well framed understanding and an empathy of what's going to drive the consumers to want to choose us. And we need to link that together. So connect the dots for the different people in the different parts of the organization. So whether it's product people or finance people or marketing people, they all really need to have this one view of consumer centricity of what's going to enable your firm to make your customers happy so that they stay stickier to you.
You made such an important point around connection. And I think the role of that customer strategy leader in a lot of ways is around being a really, really strong connector across the organization. And I think I've seen that to be true across lots of different industries. And I know you've worked across lots of different industries. And I'm curious, I know there are some industries, and particularly healthcare, that have some unique dynamics. Would love to hear your thoughts around, you know, patient centricity in the healthcare space and how that plays out.
Yeah, so you're starting to hear more and more about in the health space patient centricity, right? Going back to we have more technology, we can diagnose more at home, right? The whole medical community is reshaping, reforming. So, patient centricity, when we think about a healthcare practitioner needs to get the end patient to be more compliant. So whether it's compliant with taking the medicines they should be taking or using a device they should be using or just living a healthier lifestyle, the putting the patient in the center for patient centricity helps then the medical community and the companies that service these patients to better understand what it would take to drive up compliance. So, if the doctor is speaking to the patient and understands what's going to drive up compliance, then you've built a win win because then the company making the products or devices will have a better outcome in the end because there'll be higher compliance of using the protocol. So by really putting the patient at the center, understanding maybe what are some of the barriers. Maybe it's something as simple as it's the wording on something, or it's the time of day you're asking them to do something, right? So live in their world, build more empathy for the patient, understand what are the drivers and the barriers for driving up compliance, feed that information to your healthcare practitioner or nurses, and then that in the end of the day is going to enable the company to serve the patient, the healthcare community, and their business. So that triple win win win.
Excellent, excellent. And all of this, I think it's certainly very, very admirable goals. Every company wants to be more customer centric. They want to put the customer front and center, but the reality of doing it is often very challenging. What have you seen as some of the key challenges, and what advice do you have to some of the people out there who are trying to drive these strategies in overcoming those challenges?
Yeah, that is a great question. Where I have seen successful empathy building, patient or consumer or customer centricity is when senior leadership is dialed into what needs to be done, because then they get the rest of the organization to see the importance of it. And so the challenge is really making the time. Like there's an easy way. Like, I do this for a living, so I know you can build frameworks for companies. I've seen it happen multiple times where you start to get engagement across a lot of different divisions for that consumer centricity approach, and then that becomes the guiding light for other planning that goes on in the company. So I think the challenge is around making the time and placing the importance of it. And then it's just small steps along the way of, maybe doing some ethnographies to be in patients' homes. Maybe it's going on a shop along to see how consumers are looking at your product in the store. So there's a lot of ways, and there's a lot of data that companies already have that could be mined to putting together these consumer personas or personalities or ways to really bring your customer to life. And I think when they start to bring that information, when they show the videos, when they show the quotes, when they really like bring it to life, it ratchets up everybody's excitement and understanding, and it really aligns teams to make a big difference.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much, Sherry. This was great. Really appreciated all of your perspectives, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Jessica, for having me. This has been great.